I'm Joseph,
And I'm Nick.
and this is Fish Jelly.
Oh, c'est bon, c'est bon.
How are you?
I'm quite well. How are you?
Okay.
Feel like we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. I just am reminded. Well, two things. I'm reminded you lost your keys last week,
But didn't.
but didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So we went on a little like scavenger hunt in Hollywood
Mm-hmm.
for your keys,
Mm-hmm. Only
which I don't think you've ever lost your keys
right.
or misplaced them. So that was interesting.
Mm-hmm. Because
And
they were
ultimately, the keys were because we had gone to several places. We had gone to eat. We had gone to
Best
I
Buy.
think Best Buy. We had gone to Pieology
Yeah, we
and
drove.
Trader Joe's. We had
Yep.
gone to like four different places,
Mm-hmm.
and ultimately your keys were on the side of my seat. But that was interesting to watch.
Yeah, that's a word for it. Interesting to watch.
Well, because you rarely misplace things.
Oh, you thought it was interesting to see me a fallen idol.
Oh, also I forgot to tell you this just because there hasn't been time. But I went to wash my car this morning,
Mm-hmm.
and while I was at the car wash, this man approached me, and it was this white man, and he's like, "Oh, could I ask you a question?" And already I'm like, and he goes, "Oh, my daughter's mom is out of town, and I don't know what to do with her hair." And I'm like, why would he think I would know what to do with her hair? I don't know this person. And then I look, and it's this little biracial girl in the car with
Oh,
a big, beautiful head of curly hair. So I thought that was funny because I don't have hair at the moment, right? My head is shaved. I could understand when I do have longer hair and it's curly that he might have thought, oh, we have the same type of hair.
sure.
But it's like I have a buzzed head and I've never met this person. So
Well, you know what that sounds like to me?
what?
Sounds about white.
Sounds about white. And then part of me wanted to get funky, like, why would you assume I would know what to do with her hair? But then my spirit wouldn't let me because that baby's hair did look fucked up. And I am a hairstylist, so I can't pretend like I don't know what to do. So I talked to him for like 2 minutes.
You should have
about
been indignant. Do I look homosexual?
it. But that was interesting. Um, oh, shoot. We were supposed to go over our Apple Music top 10,
Okay, well, I have mine.
and I don't have mine.
Okay, well,
So I need to go get it. Can you talk for like 30 seconds while I go get
30 seconds.
it? Please excuse me. One moment.
Oh, okay. Well, to talk about films that were released this week that we didn't cover, one of them is called King Car, which I really wanted to get to, but we're still unpacking, so I didn't. But it's a science fiction film about a young boy that apparently can talk to cars, directed by Renata Pinheiro, which played at some film festival, I want to say Fantastic Fest, where I had a screener and still didn't watch it. Anyhow, that opened this week, but I do want to recommend Asghar Farhadi's A Hero, which I believe opened wider, which I saw at Cannes and I did really like. It's got a great lead performance by Amir Jadidi as Rahim. If you're familiar with any of Farhadi's past works, not that he hasn't, well, everybody knows that Penelope Cruz is terrible, but I wouldn't say this is a return to form, but I feel like I was about as excited about this as his 2011 international breakthrough, A Separation. So if yeah, and he's won 2 Oscars for best, well, now international film. So it's definitely worth a look. So that opened. Joseph has not seen it, although I feel like he would enjoy it.
And the other, did you talk about A Hero?
That's what I just got done talking about.
Oh, nice. So
And
we got through films we didn't cover.
yes.
Okay. All right. So we thought it might be fun to go through our Apple Music replay, like top 10 songs of 2021.
Which, we really should have done last time, but I think we were both delirious.
Yeah, I'm
Last
still
week.
kind of out of sorts trying to get settled with this new house, but let's see. Do you want to just start?
Sure. What's your number? With number 10?
My number 10 is Levitating by Dua Lipa.
Okay.
Featuring DaBaby. I I discovered Dua Lipa because there is a fitness person named Joe Wicks who we've purchased his cookbook,
You purchased his cookbook. I don't know why, because you don't cook.
and he has workout videos that I used to do, and he would feature songs. Back then, I had no idea who Dua Lipa was, but I recognized the music. So when I realized that a couple of the songs he would play were hers, I looked up her music, and this was a song that I really liked. So obviously, I played that a lot. What's your number 10?
My number 10. Okay, I'm only really embarrassed about one of these songs on my top 10, but I'm going to be real. Number 10 is Save Your Tears, the remix by The Weeknd and Ariana Grande. And I don't really like either of those artists on their own, but I really like this song.
Okay.
So I listen to it a lot.
My number 9 is a song by someone named DJ Mitch Farino. It's Arrogant. It's the song that features vocals from Tamisha Iman, the drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race season 13.
Yeah, that was number 22 on my list.
So I do like that one. What's your number 9?
My number 9 is Flesh Without Blood by Grimes.
Okay. Number 8 has been a song that I have played a lot since I heard it, 4 years ago. Cool for the Summer by Demi Lovato.
Oh boy. Yeah, I know you do like that song.
I really like that song. What's your number 8?
My number 8 is Lighthouse by Future Islands, which was featured in the film Titan. And I found a few other tracks by Future Islands that I highly recommend.
My number 7 is Rated R by Ralph Tresvant. People who, if you don't know who Ralph Tresvant is, he replaced Bobby Brown in New Edition.
Oh, okay.
And he had a big song called Sensitivity, and on that same album is Rated R. And I was reminded of it because it was featured in a movie, and I think it's like House Party.
Okay.
I rewatched House Party, and I think it's in that film. So yeah, I really like that song. It sounds very, very early 90s. What is your
number 7?
Number 7.
Okay, this is the one I'm kind of embarrassed about, but there's a reason for it. It's If You Seek Amy by Britney Spears, because when that track came out, I didn't listen to it, and even though I was highly aware of it and what she's saying, but there was a lip sync to RuPaul's Drag Race last season.
Okay.
And it reminded me, for whatever reason, that generated me.
Oh, that's right.
Rosé and who else? Anyway.
Someone.
Rosé lost. That's what I remember. But I think it is catchy, and I was running to it a lot. But I think I was giggling while running because of the lyrics. Because there's a background track in there where there's one scene where Britney says, "Can you tell me if you've seen her?" And whoever the background singer says, Can you tell me what she's wearing and what she was like? I don't know why that cracks me up, and I love it.
Yeah,
because it's so stupid. Why is that a lyric in this song? It's so dumb. It's so awkward.
My number 6 is Beyonce's "Crazy in Love" from the Homecoming Live album. I mean, I like that song since it came out. So
sure,
yeah, it's just a great live version. Go ahead.
My number 6 is "X's and O's" by Elle King, which was also on that season of Drag Race.
Oh, that makes me think I started re-listening to MIA has a song called XXXO, that I really like.
Oh, and Peaches has a song called Thinking, I'm only AAA, but I'm thinking XXX. Anyway.
My number 5 is Victory by Puff Daddy, and I love this song because it features the Notorious B.I.G. and Busta Rhymes is on the chorus, but the first chorus, I guess, is Puff Daddy, and then the next two are B.I.G. But he has a line that says, "I perform like Mike, anyone, Tyson, Jordan, Jackson, Action, Pat Guns, Ridiculous." I just love Biggie's verse on that song. I could listen to it on repeat, which clearly I have. Yes. Your number 5?
My number 5 is "Don't Leave Me This Way" by the Communards.
Oh, God.
Well, it's so good. Well, I like Thelma Houston's, but I was unaware. Again, this was RuPaul's Drag Race UK. I think it was Tia Coffee had a really good lip sync to that song. Because I listened to the Teddy Pendergrass version a lot as well, and Thelma, but I hadn't heard this version, and I liked the Communards before that lip sync, and that was
yeah,
listened to repeatedly.
My number 4 is "Take Your Shirt Off" by T-Pain, and if you paid me, I couldn't name a T-Pain song. And I don't know how I discovered this song, but I know that I was in Phoenix a few years ago. I think my sister was there too. We were visiting our mom,
Mm-hmm.
and it just randomly came up on my like iTunes whatever, and the song is ridiculous, but I really enjoy it. Your number four?
My number four is Kill versus Maim by Grimes.
Oh, Grimes makes two appearances.
Those are both. That's a really good album. We were watching the music video for that because I think it's from 2015, where she's in the subway station or whatever.
Yes. All right, my number three is Ape Shit by the Carters.
Which it surprises me that you like that so much.
Which is Beyonce and Jay-Z. So when did I get my new car?
Oh, I don't know.
Like 3 months ago?
You go through them kind of quick.
I get cars very often. But my new car has a very nice sound system. And this song in particular, like, it just sounds so good. So I think that's why I've been playing it a lot. So
Okay.
I've probably accumulated all these plays like within the last 3 months. Your number three?
My number three is Haute Definition by Vitalik, which is from their new album.
That's on my playlist. I like it.
Yeah.
My number two is Madonna's I Don't Search, I Find, which is from the Madam X album. Right?
Oh, yeah, that's excellent.
It's
That's,
the only song I like from that album. Well, God Control is okay.
yeah.
But yeah, I Don't Search, I Find is kind of like...
That's in my top 5 Madonna songs of all time. Actually.
It's almost like a sequel to Vogue.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a great song. What's your number two?
My number two would probably be my number one if I had discovered it earlier in 2021, but it's Savage, the Major Lazer remix by Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh yeah, you do like that song.
Oh, it's so good. Yes. That's totally my vibe, that song right there.
My number one song is Hung Up by Madonna. That song came out in 2004.
Yeah, it was my 21st birthday when that came out.
I mean, from the moment I heard that song,
2005.
2005,
Yeah.
I love the video. I love the song. I love ABBA, and it features... ABBA rarely licenses their music as samples, so...
ABBA.
ABBA? I say ABBA. I'm not gonna lie, I say ABBA.
Okay. That was your number two? That was your number
That
one?
was my number one.
My number one is I'm a Winner Baby by RuPaul.
Oh. Okay.
Well, because I am.
Well, all right. All right. So, should we start with Drag Race? Do you want to take care of your child? What do you want to do? The cat's
Sure,
upset.
you can start with Drag Race.
I'll start with Drag Race. So, Drag Race season 14 premiered. It will be a dual premiere, meaning that episode 1 introduced 7 queens. Episode 2 will introduce what I assume is the next set of queens. But let me pull up my little list because I don't remember who these people are. The first 7 queens we're introduced to are... Oh boy, I don't even know. Here we go. Alyssa Hunter, Bosco, June Jambalaya, Carrie Colby, Cornbread the Snack Jete, Orion Story, and Willow Pill. So the only one I recognized is Cornbread because she often performs at a gay bar in LA called Precinct. I don't think I've ever seen her perform, but I noticed her image on a lot of their digital flyers. Their mini challenge was a photo shoot where they strapped these men in dress. Well, I shouldn't say that because one of the ladies is a trans woman. But they strapped these queens onto a wheel and spin them while they're being photographed. And then the main challenge was they had to do a talent show, which is the first time we've seen the queens do a talent show on episode 1 that isn't All Stars. So that was interesting. Nick has returned.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to talk about the 7 queens and what they did for their talent. And you can tell me what you think.
It just occurred to me that, yes, Cornbread I am familiar with because she's regular at Precinct.
Yeah. So Alyssa Hunter, the Puerto Rican,
Mm-hmm.
who that seems to be her entire personality revolves around her thinking she's pretty in Puerto Rican.
Mm-hmm.
She lip synced to like a heavy metal song, which was disappointing because
A rock song. That was not heavy metal.
or rock song, sorry. It was disappointing because she had said, I'm going to play the guitar, which she didn't. She just kind of like pretended to play the guitar. And then it was very much not her style because she is a pageant queen. And then she comes out looking like it reminded me of like season 3 of Drag Race when they all had to do like that rock song. Like
Oh, yes.
she was dressed kind of like Jessica Wilde.
Yes.
I wasn't impressed. Bosco did burlesque, which was cute. Burlesque is hard because, uh, I mean, like it's fun to watch someone look so great and be sexy prancing around on stage, but I think it gets old pretty quickly. June Jambalaya did an interpretive African dance. She is a very talented dancer. Her outfit was a little raggedy because she had like you could see her control top hose underneath her dress when she would like do turns, and then her headband kept falling in her face. So it was a little raggedy. Carrie Colby, she did a lip sync to Nicki Minaj's Anaconda while she did jump roping, which was cute. Uh, if not a little basic, because she didn't start the jump roping. You know, they only have like what 45 seconds to do their talent, and she didn't start doing jump roping until like the halfway point.
Well, because it's hard to jump rope and remain sexy and lip sync.
Oh, Cornbread lip sync to an original song of hers.
Oh yeah, we need to return to that with the judging.
Yeah, but I thought that was great. Her song was cute. She was really fun to watch. Orion Story did like a comedy skit where she came out looking like, how would you describe her?
Like something Trinity the Tuck has done before. Like when she did that.
When she
did the spin me right round lip sync with the old man suit on.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that was interesting. And then Willow Pill did like I don't even know how to describe it.
Well, on the announcement before they came on, it said something about during quarantine.
It was like self-care and quarantine. It's basically like her taking a bath and throwing like
Everything
food, alcohol, a toaster, like she's gonna kill herself. It was very
all set to Enya.
Yeah, I enjoyed it because it was weird.
It was weird, and she's got a very interesting kooky energy. Yeah, I highly enjoyed that. And also, anytime everybody seems perplexed and weirded out is usually enjoyable.
So, you want to talk about the judging?
Oh, yeah. So that's the first time. I don't know why Michelle Visage took it upon herself to criticize Cornbread's, I guess, diction, for lack of a better word. Because I didn't have any trouble understanding anything.
Well, the guest judge was Lizzo.
And
Cornbread was dressed like Lizzo on her main stage.
Yeah, so right away, Lizzo kind of claps back. And then RuPaul says, well, I understand black folks.
So I understood what she was saying. Yeah, I didn't have an issue with Cornbread's lyrics. Also, like diction, it's lip syncing. So the version we're hearing is the best version. You know, it's like the ideal version. I thought it was perfectly fine.
Because where that argument was valid was with Mayhem Miller's.
Yeah, that
was unintelligible.
Right.
But
she was also performing it live.
Yes.
All right. So of the 7, who is your favorite?
Cornbread, but I like Willow Pill a lot too.
Cornbread by far is my favorite, but yes, I like Willow Pill. I don't know that she will win, but
well, you know how they edit everything.
Sure, maybe they're trying to make her an underdog.
Well, immediately they try to make her an underdog, but I was hoping, I hope it's not like James Mansfield or Aiden Zane.
Oh God, I forgot about Aiden Zane.
Where where the other queens kind of pick on them because they're the runt of the litter kind of.
Cornbread is what I wanted Silky Nutmeg Ganache to be.
Well, smarter.
Not trying so hard. A fantastic dancer.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think Cornbread is what Silky thinks she is.
Yeah.
But she's just so sloppy, and her dancing is not. You know, Silky can do like, she has like 5 or 6 steps in her repertoire she can do.
Like Eureka too.
Right. Like, but she really can't get down. Cornbread can get down.
Mm-hmm.
So and then just her personality, she just seems effervescent, and she. Not that Silky doesn't have a personality. I do like her, and she was a highlight of All Star 6, but
for sure.
But yeah, Cornbread's amazing.
I do like the energy of this season so far, especially compared to last season when there were so many queens that I didn't like.
Sure.
But
Well, you only met half, so
that's true, but they pulled that weird stunt where they pitted them against each other so
right
hard.
away.
And then there
Yeah.
was that thing with Elliot with two T's who I felt really bad for. Eh, yeah.
Who did you like the least?
I didn't dislike anybody. I think Orion's story, it was probably fine that
Oh, so Orion's story was eliminated.
yeah, I think that I would have liked to see more. I think that he has that kind of weirdness that's difficult to translate.
I agree. I would have preferred Alyssa Hunter go home.
Oh yeah.
I don't like these. First of all, like, you know, on Drag Race, if one, out of drag, if they're moderately attractive, everyone like loses their minds.
Yeah.
And what makes it even worse for him is that he thinks he's the most attractive.
Well, he is very attractive, but yeah,
I mean,
the
I
way
don't think he's like
his attitude is not attractive, and certainly talking trash about everybody else when it's like, well, you're kind of basic, is unappealing. But
So I would have been fine with him going home.
same.
Moving on. Oh, this morning I watched all of Coming Out Colton.
Oh
The
God.
Netflix series featuring Colton Underwood, who's the NFL player who recently came out as a homosexual. I only put it on because I was editing our worst of 2021 video, so I wanted some background noise, and it caught my attention. I don't want to use all of our time on this, so I'll say, first off, if you're moderately interested in this series, I would say skip to episode 6.
Where there's some truth.
There is no need to watch episodes 1 through 5. Just skip to 6. But what were your thoughts?
My thoughts were, I was only watched a minor portion because I actually left the house and I was very like it was getting me in all kinds of the wrong mood. But my thoughts are, in a nutshell, the world will bend over backwards if you're attractive and white.
So he got a lot of backlash initially because when he came out, and in that same interview with Robin Roberts on Good Morning America, he announced, not only am I gay, but I have filmed a reality show that will air soon. And it took a long time for it to air, and I think it's partly because of all the backlash. They probably wanted, the heat to settle. But then then it became, as popular culture became aware of his issues, like his ex, the one he was engaged to because he was a contestant on The Bachelor, and then he was the Bachelor. He was a contestant on The Bachelorette and then became the Bachelor. And the lady he chose, who he was engaged to, they had a volatile relationship where he was apparently aggressive enough with her or whatever that she had to file a restraining order. And I'm not super familiar, but from what I recall, he put like a tracking device on her car and was sending her crazy text messages. So when he did this interview, of course, it was all about like, you deceived her, you're trash, you're just trying to monetize your sexuality, like it's all in poor taste. And after watching it, I do think it's odd that like they sort of orchestrated this thing, which culminates with him doing this interview.
It feels odd. I don't believe a minute of what anybody says in it.
Well, so watching him, a few things hit me. The biggest one is that man needed all the sort of work he's trying to do on the show, like sort of figuring out who he is. He needed to do that before he let people film him.
And in private.
And in private. The other thing that really bothered me, and it's adjacent to what you said, is like, okay, he's an attractive, cis, white man who has money because he was in the NFL and we see his house and his car, so he's not struggling. And he was able to pass a straight for 29 years.
Mm-hmm.
So he has all of that privilege.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Straight privilege. Yeah.
Then he does this reality show, and episode 1 is like, oh God, I have to tell. He tells his mom first, then his best friend, then his brother, and then the big coming out is going to be to his father, who's like a man's man. So episode 1, he tells the 3, and then episode 2, he tells his dad. And those people couldn't have been more supportive. So then it's like, okay, so you're an attractive cis white male with resources, and the people you care for the most are accepting you. So what's the issue, girl? So then it becomes like episodes 2 through 5 are about like him trying to figure out what kind of gay he is, which was nauseating
Yeah.
because it's a bunch of white gays
Fawning over him.
who are just like fawning over him. And then Gus Kenworthy is like his gay mentor, who Gus Kenworthy doesn't bother me like so much, but all it's really doing is showing that like, oh, my version of gay and the version of gay that I'm going to show you is being a slut and like
Well,
and like trying to look your best or something.
you informed me because I didn't see this mentioned was previous to Colton coming out. Gus had hit on him.
Well,
So-
in the show, yes, Colton says like, "Oh, I had met Gus previously, and it was very obvious he was hitting on me."
So, which is feels inappropriate.
It feels creepy.
Creepy that he be your gay mentor. So the only way that this situation would work is if the dead spirit of Larry Kramer was guiding Colton through the body of Oda Mae Brown, and then maybe,
Well,
and then
so
maybe you could
I
get,
think what does work is, and I want to be clear, like being sex positive is not a problem, and I support that, and being concerned about your aesthetic and your nutrition and your fitness are not problems. But it's like the stereotypes of like the gay white male in a big city are what Gus Kenworthy's presenting to him. They go to a sex shop, they go to a party where it's a bunch of gay white guys, and there's one sort of like brown gentleman of like ambiguous ethnic background like just in a corner somewhere, and then they go visit these two white gay guys who have a beautiful home and clearly have money, who've paid for a child. And it was just all the things that I find problematic about the representation of gay men that we see in like popular media. So that's what bothered me. I wish his gay mentor could have been a person of color, and I wish they could have shown him like a different side. And they just literally inserted him like that little game toddlers play, like putting the different shapes into the. They literally just put his little square ass into the square.
Well, and I really didn't like all of the dialogue about where he fits into the community. The LGBTQIA plus community is a community of
Don't forget Two Spirit.
and but it's a community of people that don't fit in or haven't fit in. So this need to find your tribe and to fit in, like fuck that. Like you are automatically part of the community. That's it.
Right. So then so much time spending like, well, and then I hate when people ask like, well, who are you? What's your type? What that's not the most important thing about me. It's like, who am I as a person? Like, what's important to me? None of these questions are being asked of Colton. It's just like, what kind of guys do you like, and like, what kind of sex do you want to have?
And I don't want to seem overly bitter and cynical, and I'm sure that someone seeing this somewhere, it might be helpful to them. If I had seen this as an impressionable teenager, it would have just furthered my throes of despair, and mostly because of his obsessiveness with his religion and wanting to
gosh.
which I made my skin crawl. You can't be a part of a system that is designed to destroy you. So watching him go on and on about how he wants to be in this legion of gay Christian men, it's like, you might as well be a Jewish Nazi.
I don't fully agree with what you're saying, because I don't think that Christianity is designed to destroy gay people. I think that this idea that homosexuality is in the Bible, that's been debated. I'm not trying to do that right now. All I'm saying is that he can have his faith. What's confusing to me is that if he talks so much about his faith, but then he's asking other people like, is it okay that I'm gay? And it's like, if you have a relationship with God, then you should talk to God, girl. And if you feel love in your heart and you know that God made you in the image of blah, 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 then you should feel good about that. And if you don't, then maybe you need to do some extra work. But him calling his pastor, which, face crack, he calls his pastor on the phone, and the pastor's like, good that you feel that God loves you, but that's not true. Like, what being gay is a sin. He likens it to like being like an alcoholic or a murderer or something. And he's like, the other thing too is he brings on other like straight white guys who like, because he goes back to Colorado to sort of live out his like time before he comes out. And so it's all these like clones of like these really attractive white guys who are all super Christian and all have the same lifestyle and the same appearance. And there are like 4 of them, and he's talking to them, and they all say the same thing, like, we love you. We may not agree with your lifestyle and blah blah blah, but we still love you. And it's like, well, that doesn't go together. Like, you can't believe that who I am as a person is wrong and that I'm going to burn in hell,
Well,
and then smile in my face and tell me you love me and nothing's changed. Like, if you hate me for being gay, then I'd rather know that,
sure.
and we can be
Of
resigned
course.
to that. But it's just so weird that he's looking for something that they're not going to give you, girl. And if Jesus Christ, God, whatever you believe in, like, if you have that in your heart, why are you asking other people what God thinks about you? Talk to his ass about
He
it.
sounds like the woman from The Room. I'm going to do what I want to do. What do you think I should do?
Yeah.
And also, it's I liken watching his experience to coming out as if one of the Stepford wives was granted autonomy.
He just, yeah. I would not. Oh, positives are he does bring on some NFL, like retired NFL players. Um, one gentleman who's like in his 70s, I think. One gentleman who played in the 90s, a Hawaiian gentleman, and then Sam, the black guy. I forget his last
Sam
name.
the black guy.
Well, we all know who he is. The one he was part of the same draft as Colton.
Okay.
And so there are moments with them talking, and I thought that had a lot of meaning.
Again, there are things that
And
you
then
can take.
episode 6, he meets a trans woman who's also a priest.
That's the best part of.
That's the
what I
best
saw.
part, because that lady got his ass together, and and again, this is why I don't shit on religion completely, because it's like, well, people can believe what they want. If it guides them and they're accepting and loving, then that's great. And I think that this trans female priest exemplified that, and she told him, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to figure your shit out first, basically,
Mm-hmm.
before you step out here trying to find your next love or whatever. I thought that was really good.
Well, yeah, because she told him you've not ever been authentically yourself in a relationship. So what makes you think you should be in a
Right.
relationship right now?
And it was really nice seeing his dad, who's like the epitome of like butch manly man with the the camo and working on his pickup truck, basically be like, yeah, you're gay, it's cool, I support you. I think that for some people out there, certainly not someone like me, but for some people out there, that would really resonate with them. So it does have some value. I just feel sorry for this man. Like, he needs to go to therapy in private,
Mm-hmm.
and make friends in private, and figure out his body and his needs in private, because all these thirsty ass people out here trying to get at him, and I just feel like we're gonna read about him in like a year.
He's either going to fade away or he's going to
Get
do
his ass
something
into
do something
trouble.
insane. Yeah.
Okay, we need to move on. So movies you watched for fun. I haven't seen any of these, and
You
there are
did
a
see
lot of them.
you did see some of them.
Okay, first off is something called Midwives.
You were in the room when I watched that.
Oh, that's with Sissy Spacek, where she plays the midwife who gets like
Goes on
criminal like she goes on trial for
because she
did a cesarean on a woman.
and the woman was still alive.
Yeah,
This is-
because only physicians can
right.
cut people who are alive.
And her daughter hides her diary notes, which would have proved that otherwise, played by Alison Pill. It was made for TV. I remember this when it came out in the year 2001, but back then I couldn't get a copy of it. So,
Okay, this shit did catch my attention.
yeah, it's entertaining. It's very much a similar scenario.
It's entertaining.
It's very much
It was entertaining.
a similar scenario to the midwife played by Molly Parker in Pieces of a Woman from last year. But it's based on a novel. I like Sissy Spacek. Terry Kinney plays her husband, who has very bad hair. Peter Coyote is her lawyer.
Her daughter, that acting and that writing is
Well, it's made for television, and it's very heavy on the omniscient narration by the daughter, played by Alison Pill, who you kept saying that could. You can't tell me that's not Elliot Page. You kept saying, but
that lady looked like Elliot Page.
but it's not. But anyway, it's entertaining. It's not good, but it's entertaining.
Okay, next is How to Beat the High Cost of Living.
So this was.
Please tell me,
I don't know.
because I need to know.
This was a film also that I've owned forever. I went through a Jessica Lange phase. It's kind of before. It's in that nether region between King Kong and The Postman Always Rings Twice before her career really took off. But she did this movie directed by Robert Shearer in 1980, and it's about three women, best friends, played by Jessica Lange, Jane Curtin, and Susan St. James. And each of them are defined by their personal relationships, and they decide to rob this money ball in a money ball in the mall because they're each having financial issues. And it was designed as a vehicle kind of for Jane Curtin to come out. It was her film debut, and she does have the best role in it. But it's not. It's very dated. It feels like it was trying to be 9 to 5-y, and Dabney Coleman even shows up. what's his name, who won the Oscar for Roman Holiday. Eddie Albert plays Susan St. James's father, and Fred Willard is her boyfriend, and Richard Benjamin is Jessica Lange's cheating husband. Oh, and Sybil Danning is the woman he cheats on her with. So if you like any of those people from this time period, it does feel very 1980. I think Jane and Jessica and Susan all look great. It struck me that I haven't seen this movie, but for whatever reason, I bet this would make a great double feature with Mad Money, that 2008 movie with Queen Latifah, Diane Keaton, and Katie Holmes.
Mm. Next, I Could Never Be Your Woman.
Another film I'd never seen, directed by Amy Heckerling, starring Michelle Pfeiffer and Paul Rudd, Michelle Pfeiffer is a producer on this television show where Fred Willard is actually her boss. And yeah, she just has this romance with Paul Rudd. It's funny. It's from 2007. It's funny how much it feels like it's from that era. And what you have characters in there saying like it's inappropriate to say someone's gay, but then you have John Lovett saying like, "Oh, you look like a bull dyke," and they laugh about it. Saoirse Ronan plays Michelle Pfeiffer's teenage daughter, which I thought they had some nice chemistry. I liked how Michelle and Paul played together. It's a very brightly lit film. Oh, and you know who else I think is funny is Stacey Dash. And I know she's a problem, but she's actually kind of cute and funny as the dumb star of this show that Michelle Pfeiffer's producing.
Next is something called Kadachi.
Kadaicha. You were in the room when I watched that too. It's part of that All the Haunts Be Ours box that I have.
Okay.
An Australian film about this developer who's built all these houses on an Aboriginal burial ground, and all of these teenagers in the area are being haunted by this man who gives them this rock, and then they show up dead the next day. And it's the daughter of the developer. It's her job to kind of find that out by talking to this Aboriginal man. It's very basic in that sense, but you could have a pretty good drinking game every time they say Aboriginal burial ground. But as a piece of folk horror, which is the point of that set, it was entertaining.
Next is, I'm laughing because the name of the next one, Serving in Silence, the Marguerite Kamermeyer story. But every time I see Kamermeyer, I'm thinking like Kokomo, Cankersore.
Oh my God. So this is also a television film from 1995. It's called Serving in Silence, the Margareta Kamermeyer story, starring Glenn Close and Judy Davis. It's based on the true story of this woman who was in the army, and she transferred to be closer to her 4 sons, and she's divorced, who live in Seattle, and she becomes part of the National Guard and a chief nurse. One of her sons is played by Ryan Reynolds.
Okay.
Which it's funny to see him so young, but it's a notable thing because in 1989 she, as part of security clearance, admitted that she was a lesbian, and they tried to force her to resign, and they were going to give her a honorable discharge, and she fought that. And this is before Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed, where it was illegal to be gay and openly gay and serve. I had an oddly emotional response watching this because it reminded me of being a kid in the 90s, and just all of these things that we so conveniently don't talk about anymore since Don't Ask, Don't Tell has been repealed, and gay marriage has been legalized since 2013. And just kind of how awful it was. These people's lives were ruined.
Next.
Glenn Close gives a fantastic performance, by the way. Like, she is really good.
Uptown Saturday Night.
Well, we haven't talked about the obituary section yet.
Okay.
But Sidney Poitier died this week. So I was catching up on a couple Sidney Poitier films, so I'll talk about both of those that I saw. People forget that he directed 9 movies. So I watched his second and third directorial films that I've never seen. And the first one was Uptown Saturday Night, which also stars Harry Belafonte and Bill Cosby. And I thought Bill Cosby was kind of charming and cute in it. Because he was back then. And
what's Noises Off?
I'm not done talking about Uptown Saturday Night.
Well, time's not forever.
Okay, well, you keep interrupting me, so
you need to speed it up. Go ahead.
I feel like I'm talking at a pretty rapid pace considering all of the information I'm regurgitating without even looking at notes. But Sidney Poitier, who's married to Rosalind Cash in it, who I also really like, and he goes out in secret one night with Bill Cosby to this kind of secret casino called Zenobia's, and it's robbed by Calvin Lockhart. And in later he Sidney finds out that in his wallet he has a winning lottery ticket for $50,000. So they have to track down who robbed Zenobia's. And it reminded me a little bit of that film with Bow Wow and Loretta Devine, Lottery Ticket. But that's worth a watch. And then I have this Sidney Poitier box set that I purchased years ago just for a copy of A Warm December, and I'd never watched it, so I finally did. It's a second film. It's very much a black Roman holiday mixed with love story. As Esther Anderson, I believe, is the lead's name, is this African princess that he falls in love with, and she's suffering from sickle cell, so she's dying, which also made me think of the movie Sweet November, which starred Sandy Dennis, and it was remade with Charlize and Keanu in the 2007.
Done.
Yes, so Sidney died this week, and that was
Noise is off.
Peter Bogdanovich also died this week, so I watched Noise is Off, a 1992 film he did. Great cast. I was surprised at how much I really liked this film, and I would definitely watch this again. And if you're a fan of something like Bullets Over Broadway, this is a lot of fun about this director played by Michael Caine and this cast that included John Ritter and Carol Burnett and Christopher Reeve, trying to get this play off the ground and all these awful things happening backstage. A lot of fun and very impressive.
Projects of interest. Something about Almodovar.
Oh, Almodovar. He previously announced he was going to be adapting a novel, cleaning guide for what's the name of the film? I have to look that up. But he recently announced he was going to make an English language film around the time he did The Human Voice with Tilda Swinton, which was a short film that came out at the New York Film Festival last year. But he finally announced who will be starring in it. A Manual for Cleaning Women. Cate Blanchett is attached, so that is automatically of considerable interest.
Okay, the obituary section. So you already mentioned Sidney Poitier.
Yeah, first black man to win an Oscar.
And you mentioned Peter Bogdanovich.
Yes, they worked together. Peter Bogdanovich directed Sidney Poitier in To Sir with Love 2 for television in 1996, which I haven't seen. But oddly, when you were on your last cruise, I watched To Sir with Love for the first time because Lulu was a judge on Drag Race, and she famously sang that theme song.
And then Marilyn Bergman?
Marilyn Bergman was an Oscar-winning lyricist. She won 3 Oscars, was nominated for a bunch more, but including for Yentl, The Way We Were, and the original Thomas Crown Affair with Steve McQueen.
And lastly, we just saw that Bob Saget passed away.
Yeah.
Which is
shocking. I guess I haven't even really had time to think about that. But yeah, we both automatically, I think, went to realizing, because we were kids when that Full House was on, but realizing he was a full-ass adult comic.
Well, I think the 90s were filled with Full House and America's Funniest Home Videos, and he was a very wholesome participant in both. And then when I realized that he's a raunchy comedian, it kind of blew my mind. And I really enjoyed his comedy. So yeah. And I saw that he tweeted late last night, so technically this morning, how much he enjoyed performing at a comedy club in Jacksonville, but he was found unresponsive in a Ritz-Carlton in Florida somewhere. It's supposed to be near Jacksonville. But yeah, that's,
How much time do we have?
Well, I don't know because I messed up the timer, so...
Oh, because I was just thinking I did a top 5 of Bogdanovich and Sidney Poitier.
Well, we already moved on, but...
Oh, okay.
All right, so... Well, go ahead. You seem forlorn now.
No, it's fine. Let's talk about the film that you chose for us to discuss this week.
Okay, I chose The Last Picture Show.
Which was directed by Peter Bogdanovich.
Someone had commented that we should review this film, so I thought it seemed appropriate with the passing of the director.
Yes, who is, you are familiar... Well, you haven't seen Paper Moon, which is fucking phenomenal, but you have seen What's Up, Doc, which is basically a remake of Bringing Up Baby. Which I didn't really like, but we watched that when we lived in Echo Park.
I don't recall. So this film is set in 1951. It was
Oh,
made in 1971.
71. You're familiar with Mask with Cher.
Oh, he did that?
Mm-hmm.
That movie scared me so much as a kid. I should rewatch it actually.
Okay, so you know who he is.
All right, so 1951. It revolves around this like little ass town in Texas somewhere.
North Texas. Mm-hmm.
And it basically revolves around these three high school students.
Mm-hmm.
One played by Jeff Bridges,
Mm-hmm.
one played by Tim Bottoms,
Timothy Bottoms, yep.
and one played by Sybil Shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just their lives in this little small ass town. Tim Bottoms' character,
Sonny.
we see him like kind of do some girl dirty, like he breaks up with her, and then he starts having an affair with like the coach's wife. Sybil Shepherd's character is like the most beautiful girl I mean, she's stunning.
Yep.
So but for some reason doesn't want to leave her small town. And her mom, played by Ellen Burstyn, who is like, it's funny because her mom is like more fun than she is. She's like, you need to go out there and let's get you on birth control so you can have sex and don't date that boy. Like you need to find someone like a rich man. And,
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason she wants to stay in the small town, and it seems like she really wants attention.
Yeah.
And her big plot point is that she wants to not be a virgin.
So she can have sex with the man that she's really attracted to.
And there's a man who she's very attracted to, but he won't have sex with her because she is a virgin. So she ends up having sex with Jeff Bridges' character after 2 attempts, because the first time he suffers from erectile dysfunction. And then Jeff Bridges' character is his main storyline is just
Dwayne.
He really doesn't have much going on until the end, when he gets upset because Tim's character hooked up with Sybil
After he left, yeah.
and then he ends up like badly injuring Tim,
Mm-hmm.
like in the eye. So now Tim can't go into the military. So the end is we see Jeff Bridges' character go off to the like to where, Korea somewhere.
Yes.
But that's basically it.
Yeah, it's the Larry McMurtry is kind of based, who wrote the book it's based on. Larry McMurtry, of course, wrote many westerns and novels, including Lonesome Dove, including Brokeback Mountain. So I think there's a lot of autobiographical elements in there.
I didn't know what to expect. My overall thought is so I did enjoy this film. I think to me, it feels like it's a good representation of the isolation people can feel like within their environment. And in this film, it's this small town, but really anywhere where you just feel like you want to be heard, you want to be seen, you want to experience things. And we can get into it because like Cloris Leachman's character, who is an adult, is having an affair with Tim Bottoms.
Mm-hmm.
But when I say I don't know what I was like, I didn't know anything about this film. I assumed it would just be sort of like a serious drama. But sort of right away, we see Tim Bottoms like making out in a car with.
After going to, because the film opens and closes on a shot of this marquee, the last picture show in this small town, and they're at Father of the Bride, starring Spencer Tracy and Liz Taylor.
Well, I was gonna say we see breasts right away,
yes.
And I was like, oh, this is like an adult movie.
Mm-hmm.
Randy Quaid plays like a student
mm-hmm.
who is also having like a dalliance with Sybil Shepherd's character. In fact, he's sort of the vehicle that introduces Sybil to skinny dipping.
Mm-hmm.
There's like this group of teenagers who have access to an indoor pool and they go skinny dipping. So, but I thought Randy Quaid, when I first saw him, I thought he was a teacher.
Oh no,
because he looked a little elderly.
And this is he did the Randy Quaid. It's disappointing what he became, but The Last Detail was a pretty good film around this time he did too.
The skinny dipping scene, we see all these teenagers nude, and I guess like for new members to this club, they're told that they have to get on the diving board and get undressed in front of everyone. So Sybil has to do that, and she has on so many undergarments.
I know, it's so awkward.
She has on a slip, like
garters,
pantyhose, like. So that was an awkward scene. Okay, So two people from this film won Oscars.
Cloris
Cloris
Leachman,
Leachman
and Ben Johnson, who plays
so
Sam the Lion.
Ben Johnson's character owns like all the things in town, like all the fun things, like the bar, the movie theater, the pool hall, a restaurant, I think. So, and he has a son.
Yes.
Who is special needs.
Well, he's mute.
He's mute, but you know the way they refer to him is like he's lame or something. So all the teenage boys, like this group of boys, they decide that because this little special needs boy is a virgin, there's sex is such a big component of the story, but it makes sense to me because it's like when
as it is with every human experience.
Well, I don't I wouldn't say that. What I would say is that I like like coming from like a bigger city and then moving to like the Midwest and then seeing how people behave like the 6 months when it's really cold and there's nothing much to do and how people resort to like drinking, drugs, and sex. But like when you're busy and have shit to do, it's not really the thing that's constantly, perhaps. But I think in this film it makes sense that everyone's so fixated on sex because they have nothing else to do.
Well, and I know it's set in the 50s in Texas, but a lot of this reminded me, I grew up in a small town in northern Minnesota, and a lot of these behaviors, it reminded me of a lot of things.
But let me get back to this point, because I think this was the big message I got from this movie. So these teenage boys decide to take the special boy to a prostitute so he can lose his virginity, and he prematurely ejaculates on this prostitute. And she gets upset and punches him in the nose. So they go take him back to his dad, Ben Johnson, and he's upset. Like, why would y'all do this? Well, we just wanted to hook him up. Like, no
harm, no foul.
No harm, no foul. And he's like, y'all don't have the decency to even clean his face up. So you know what? You are banned from all my shit. You can't come to
the pool hall, the movies.
All the fun things are done. So that was a really powerful scene for me. And we can get into why, or his Oscar, but it was a very powerful scene because it made me think like one stupid mistake can really change the course of a person's life. Like if you're some teenager living in some shit small town and you get in trouble and you can't be a part of the main thing that you do, you would really be like shit out of luck. You would really just be stuck sitting in the garage twiddling your thumbs. So I thought that was a very powerful scene. But Ben Johnson, he won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor.
Yes.
I don't
see. I know.
I don't think that performance was like so much better than anyone else's.
Oh, I think he does a very fine job in this film.
You know who my marker is for out of this world performance is
in a supporting role.
Martin Landau
and Ed Wood. Yeah, of course. But
like that sent me.
Sure, but
this was like, Ben Johnson did a fine job, but so did everyone else.
I don't know if you were really rightly paying attention during his monologue, which I think is just so excellent and finely delivered and very poignant. When he's kind of forgiven Timothy Bottoms and he brings them out to this private place that he brought a love interest, who we come to find was the married Ellen Burstyn. And talking about life and marriage and. I have seen this film before with a college roommate, damn near 20 years ago now. And this film does hit a lot harder now, having lived a bit of life. And I think that Ben Johnson does a really great job. And I also think the Academy was honoring this character actor that had been in many, odors, if you will, as a character actor. Peckinpah used him to great effect in something like The Wild Bunch and in The Getaway, which I watched recently. So I think they were honoring him much like they did to Jack Palance in City Slickers. But as much
I
as
think Ben Johnson's performance is better than Jack.
I agree. So I can see that argument, but I think he was really good in this.
So Cloris Leachman's character is the wife of like the school coach, and she's having an affair with Tim Bob's character, and she also won an Academy Award. And I think that performance was powerful because that lady she's doing such a good job of at one moment looking fragile and at one moment looking like hungry like a wolf, and then another moment trying to be coy and then seductive. And I think she did a lot with her role. And it's just so interesting to see Cloris Leachman young.
It is, but even young, they're painting her as elderly, which is interesting.
Like matronly. Yeah.
Matronly, because the first thing I think maybe her debut was "Kiss Me Deadly" as the woman screaming in the opening credits. But even in the Amy Heckerling movie I just watched this week, there's a joke. Michelle Pfeiffer says something about like, "Oh, don't make me Cloris Leachman," but Cloris Leachman was young and fetching at one point, and I think she is very. I think she's striking in this.
I wouldn't call her striking.
I find her kind of heartbreaking in that, to use a melodramatic word, like.
I think that's more accurate. I think she has like a pained look on her face. I mean, she's a nice looking lady, but
she's not, compared to all the ladies in there's so many great women.
I mean, when you put her next to Sybil Shepherd and Ellen Burstyn.
Ellen Burstyn looks fantastic. Again, another woman that they always made the mother and is still the mother. She played Sigourney Weaver's mother in Political Animals in 2012, and here she is. she's always the mom. But
anyway, I was going to mention that the first time Cloris has sex with Tim, she's crying.
Yeah,
that scene was.
I feel so.
That was a lot.
I feel so bad for her in every scene, and there's such a great catharsis when she lashes out in the final scene.
When Ben Johnson's character dies, it's when. Well, we don't have time to go through this whole story, but when he dies. The boys are gone. They had gone to Mexico to party it up, and they come back super hungover. And when they return, they find out that he's dead. Mm-hmm. And that character, Ben Johnson's character, hadn't been dead but a day, and already they have read the will. And
everybody knows what everybody got.
Everyone knows what everyone's getting. I thought that was funny. A really good scene. Sybil Shepherd is.
She's a monster in this. Oh my god! When the scene where she decides to take. Because she finds out about the affair Timothy Bottoms is having with Cloris Leachman, and she's like, you can see her in her mind, she's like, well, I deserve to have that because I'm the hottest. And the moment where she drives up after they catch the pedophile or whatever, and they have that close-up on her face, it's like, oh, this woman's become a full-blown siren.
When there's a scene where, because she's trying to lose her virginity to Jeff Bridges so she can go have sex with the man she really wants, she is so mean to him because the first time they try, he's having a hard time maintaining an erection. And then even after they successfully have sex, she is just so mean to him.
Which, another a scene that I remember vibrantly is the sex scene with Clu Gulager, who has been in many, many movies, but you might remember him as that portly man in the taxi in Tangerine. Mm-hmm. But I remember very clearly the image of her panties coming off over her schoolgirl shoes on the pool table. That I don't know, just the small the minutia of behaviors that's going on here. Bogdanovich gets very well, and some of the best moments are when there isn't even any dialogue.
My final note is, thank goodness there were no black people in this town.
I thought that too. Yeah, because
this would have been unwatchable to me.
Yes, I agree. Because they wouldn't have known what to do with them. And however, I do really appreciate and like all of the wonderful women female performances in this. Also, shout out to Eileen Brennan, who looks very young as the waitress, who's very friendly. Just all of the great character work. It's this really is, this came out in 1971 during the wave of new American cinema and a new kind of storytelling. When we're talking, this film couldn't have been made in the 50s, so it's finally kind of examining the reality of what life's like.
It's in black and white.
Oh, I love
I think it looks really cool.
The opening and final. So the last movie, with such sadness that they go to the last movie that's playing there, which I think is Red River with Monty Clift and John Wayne, which is itself is a film that was signaling a change in how masculinity was represented in Hollywood at the time, even though that movie's 1948.
What would you give this movie?
I think it's a perfect movie. I do. And I think Paper Moon, which he did in 1973, Bogdanovich, I think that's also a perfect movie.
I would give it 4.5 out of 5.
I can't find any. There's really nothing wrong that I think with this movie.
I'd have to really think about it. But I mean, 4.5 out of 5 is pretty damn good for me. So.
Yes, it is. But I'm glad. Are you glad you watched it? Oh boy.
I watch a lot of movies, so I value my free time.
Well, they don't really make them like this anymore.
No, they don't. What else do you have for us?
I guess were we going to close with a Sidney quote?
Well, what's going on this week?
Scream.
You're going to see Scream.
Yeah, I don't believe there are any.
No guests allowed, so I'm just gonna sit my black ass at home.
Thanks, Omicron. Thanks, Omicron.
Yeah, and I'm going on a cruise next week, which, we'll see if that happens. So you have a quote from Sidney Poitier.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You don't have to become something you're not to be better than you were.
Oh, those are nice words.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.